I know I'm I'm hijacking Anna's stream. I am absolutely, but she's right here. But she's here. Say hi.
Hi, I'm over here.
Yeah, she'll be right back. We're just having we got a little bit delayed, so the stream when it was scheduled for a little bit earlier, and we didn't get around to get dinner made in time, and yeah, life. So this is live streaming for you.
And eating. Well, we can talk about culinary books.
Yeah, I mean, was this something you read in a culinary book, or just out of the top of your head?
No, that was out of the top of my head.
We're eating steak with mashed potatoes and some veggies, so I mean,
no need for a book.
No need for anything. So yeah. So Sandy Sparks is saying hi, Anna.
Hi.
She will be here. She will be here soon.
Be.
You know, but our son is giving us some difficulty in the eating field. So
priority.
so she's kind of helping out in the sense that if she doesn't help out, he's not gonna eat. So I was hired to keep the stream going.
You're doing a fine job.
And apparently I'm doing a fine job.
So what did you think of that book you read?
We have Caesar here as well. Caesar, trust me, you're gonna love this stream. Stick around if you like books. Anna's like an encyclopedia here, so it'll be fun.
Do they like modern books, classical lit?
I think someone that likes to reads about everything. Obviously, they might have their favorite authors, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What absolutely?
This is a place to start. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna flip the camera at you if you're okay with that, and this way we could do like a kind of interview. I'm gonna kind of go here. There you go. Whoa. Whoa. Sorry guys, I'm kind of screwing up the whole camera thing. But we're trying here. So can you turn on the light?
Let's go.
So, Anna.
Yes.
Always been a book lover. Whoa, light.
Whoa.
What? What's going on? What? Okay, so Sparks is saying that my niece is coming on Meerkat for the first time. She's a teacher in, I'm guessing FL means Florida. All right, good stuff.
What does she teach?
Why don't you say what you teach while she writes? Because there's a delay here. So
Oh, I thought it
No.
said there. I teach high school. I am currently teaching French literature, grammar, and I taught history, and most likely I'll be teaching history again next year. Yeah. So, and then outside high school, I also teach Portuguese to adults, which I really love. It's one of my favorite challenges. And I love reading, and I love teaching and talking about books and giving conferences about books. I love interacting with people.
Okay, the question is, do you read more in Portuguese or do you read more in English?
Right now I read more in English, but I do like to read a book in the language that it is published if I can understand it.
So the author's language?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if I can go by reading the original one without, having to rely on a translation, I will. Obviously, most of the classic books from Germany, Russia, whatever, were read in English. Some of them I actually read in Portuguese. But if something is published in French, I'll read it in French. If it's published in Spanish, I'll try reading in Spanish. I'm not fluent speaking, but I understand it because I did some Spanish courses in university. But right now, most of it is English, and for the courses I teach, I try to introduce them to French novels. So, yeah. Yes.
All right. So the question is, you're saying that you like reading when in the author's language. So do you feel that? And I think this is kind of given, but gotta ask the question: do you feel like the authors, when they're expressing themselves on their mother tongue, it always comes out right? And when a translator grabs that and translates it, never gets it quite right. What's your opinion on that? Like, why do you think that happens?
Well, that's why in English we say lost in translation.
Actually, Sparks just said that.
Well, it depends on who is translating. I've actually read a few books in the original language and then in something else to see how it translated. Some people are amazing translators and you can almost get the same feeling. In other cases, I don't know why, it almost makes me think maybe they were mediocre students in the School of Translation. That's why it can't come out the same way. But in most cases, it's the idiomatic expressions that are really lost in translation. And sometimes a certain word or a certain sentence has a feeling, something that can never, no matter how well you translate it, can never express the feeling that particular language has. I'll give you an example. There's a word that is very particular to the Portuguese language, which is saudade. And when you look up that word in the dictionary, it translates as longing, missing someone, a feeling of nostalgia, blah, blah, blah. But yet, saudade is all of that put together and so much more, right?
Yeah.
So you can never, it doesn't matter how great of a translator you are, you can never transmit to your English public, for example, the true meaning, the true significance of that particular word. But in some cases, like I'm thinking of Kafka, I don't know German, so...
Yeah, I mean, I'm here doing a flipping of the phone so that this way she has a little bit of a break and she can continue eating. We don't want to kind of break the stream up and you know, stream later because people subscribed and, you know, people get used to seeing the scheduling and all that. So it's important for, you know, for us to continue that schedule. I mean, it's respect, and at the end of the day, we've kind of created that kind of a meerkat community here, and we feel that it's important. I've been streaming for over two months now, and I understand that is important. People get used to seeing that you're going to be streaming at a certain time, and they'll try to make it. So for us to go and just ignore that and reschedule it because life got in the way. I mean, if it really got in the way, then yeah, you have to reschedule, period. You can't do anything. I mean, life is ahead of meerkat. But if you can kind of work around, I told her, you know what, don't worry. She was kind of like, we can't do it. I mean, I'm just not going to do it. And I said, don't worry about it. It's okay. I'll take over. And that's what happened. So now going back to the whole book situation and author writing and all of that. Do you think, and I believe the answer is going to be yes, but I want to know your opinion on it. You were talking about one particular word in Portuguese that is hard to be translated. Do you find that all of the languages might have that situation happening?
Oh yeah, for sure. If not a sentence, for example. Or...
Oh, by the way, you have Zero Graph here.
Hi, Zero Graph. How did the test go?
Oh, snap!
Speaking of books, right? Yeah, no, absolutely. More languages than other probably, but they all do, and sometimes it's the meaning of the word. It can be a very strong word in one language, and then it may not even have that kind of feeling or that kind of significance when you translate it into another language. So that's why when you're studying languages, it's not, you don't know the language until you learn the culture. So to know a language and to know literature, you must know a culture. And they go hand in hand. And so sometimes the translation cannot grasp that.
So do you think some of the translators out there that are doing this for a living, some of them might not know the culture and that cultural aspect behind the...
Sometimes I have that feeling.
Yeah.
For example, if you are going... Let me grab the case of Canada. If you are going to translate a novel written in Quebec in French about, I don't know, Quebec, and someone in England or Australia, whatever, grabs that novel, or even here in the States, grabs that novel, I'm sure they'll do a fine job translating it, but they may not put the feeling the author is trying to put into it. And I'm thinking, for example, Anne Hébert, who's who has passed away a few years ago, but left behind an outstanding collection of short stories and novels and things like that. She was very particular about being a Quebecer, about the struggles of speaking French in Canada, of struggles the French Canadians and English Canadians have, and so on and so forth. I've actually seen some of her works written, translated into English, and that feeling, and it's not a revolt, it's not a negative feeling, it's a feeling of almost justice. I never sense that feeling when reading the translations. That's why I never tell my students to read her novels in English. And I keep telling them, you're studying French, try to read them in French. You learn the language,
yeah,
and
but if you don't know
capture.
the language that well, will
That's
you
why
get the
you
message?
miss out. You still do, but you miss out on a lot. But you still do. You still get the message. And like I said, it also depends on the book, how serious it is. For example, the Da Vinci Code, I read in English, and then just to see how it would translate, I read it in Portuguese as well, and then it was bang on. That one was actually well translated, and it passed on the message.
But
So,
do you think it's because it was more of it wasn't so much of a literature book,
so
more of
the
a novel
yes.
style, and that works better in,
Yeah.
in sense of the translation?
The less varied it is, the better usually the translation has a tendency of being.
I'm just flipping the phone camera so that you can eat a little bit, because I know you're trying to eat. I ate already, so
That's fine.
I'm just gonna read.
almost
I'm just gonna read a comment from our good friend Zero Grav.
Oh my god.
That says, first he's asking if I got a haircut. Yeah, I did get a haircut, but I tried telling the guy to cut only the white hair, and he looked at me weird. I don't know why. I just asked, just cut the white hair, leave the black hair out. But that's what happened. And the other comment was, there were a lot of cuties in the room, and there was a guy named Ronald that collects umbrellas and knows, and then it cut off, but I'm kind of glad.
What are we talking about? The test?
Yeah, the test. So I'm kind of glad it actually cut off, Rusty, because no good comment can come out of that. A guy was collecting umbrellas in a class.
What were you writing about? Wasn't it supposed to be literacy?
No, it was the
numeracy?
SAT, right?
Yeah, isn't that literacy and numeracy?
Yeah, I don't know. Only Zero Grav could know this. But anyways, so did you eat a little bit?
Yeah, I did.
All right.
I had to fix something.
Knows the word in several other languages. So we were talking that we're getting into that aspect of novels versus. So what are the different types? They're all novels, really. But what's the big difference? You know what I'm trying to get to? Like
Yeah.
the Da Vinci Code that you touched upon is one type of book, but then you have other types.
It's like
How about
thriller, suspense.
how about you educate me a little bit in that, and this way whoever's watching us as well a little bit of a know-how on someone that knows this
I
stuff.
may get in trouble because I'm considered a non-conventional when it comes to literature. I'm a believer that as long as you read, you should be happy. I'm not...
Hey, I used to read a lot of comic books.
I teach comic books as part of my literature course. They're actually... I teach Asterix, Obelix.
Hey, I used to draw those.
Yeah, well, you know what? Goscinny is an amazing author, and you need to understand literature from that point of view as well. So I'm not one of those people, and I work with a few that are like, it's the classics. It's those authors that were named for a literature Nobel Prize. No, not at all. Absolutely not. As long as you can read fine. But within the fictional world, and even non-fictional, you've got biographies, you've got documentaries, pretty much like the biographic documentary kind of thing. They're based on true facts, I guess, non-fictional. You can have historical accounts. Then you've got into the novels, you have the thrillers, the mysteries, the suspense, you can have drama, like theater, the theater, the plays, the plays, poetry. Oh my God, like it goes on and on and on. I'm a novel, short story kind of person. I love short stories and I love novels.
Why?
That's who I am. That's what appeals to me as a reader. I love reading stories that, for me, a book needs to do two things. It needs to be engaging from the first page. from the cover even though you don't judge a book by its cover, you can read a lot, and I'll explain what I mean by that. If it's a good book, the cover will be a good cover and it will indicate the themes within the book. But for me, it needs to be engaging in that sense, and it needs to do another thing, which is make me a part of the story. I imagine living the story. I'm part of one of those characters.
Cool.
If it can do that, then I like it. So for me, it's that kind of novel. But it can be from the classics. Charles Dickens in English is probably my favorite. In French, I would probably, from the same time period, I would probably say Honoré de Balzac. But then I love to read Dan Brown. I just finished reading a memoir. There you go, another genre. I love reading a memoir. And that memoir was based on, it's a memoir, right? So it was based on recent, not so recent in historical terms, it's recent. But it's The Prisoner of Tehran. And The Prisoner of Tehran was written by Marina Nemat, who now lives in Toronto, and published the memoir of her time in Iran. So she, as a teenager, she was accused of conspiring against the government and, and doing all of that stuff. And she goes to prison at the age of 17. The famous Evin, I'm not sure how they pronounce it, but she spends there a lot of time, and she sees death around her, and she sees torture, and she sees basically what the Iranian government in the early 1980s was doing to people. But she survived, and she survived because one of the guards falls in love with her, and he's close to the Ayatollah, and he manages to save her and get married to her. Funny enough, it's when he gets assassinated, his family arranged for her to be set free. And anyways, she ends up in Toronto, and then she publishes this memoir. I have mixed feelings about it only in one aspect, is that throughout the book, sometimes I have a feeling that she presents herself as this victim that wanted to die with the others, why me, I should die. And that to me sounds a little bit too heroic. No one wants to die. Well, I don't think anyone wants to die, but not in the sense that she portrays. So in a way, I kind of have mixed feelings there. But it is an awesome book, one I recommend. It is very good at showing what political prisoners, innocent most of the times, can go through. And even though this is early 1980s, not long ago, 2004 maybe, a Canadian Iranian journalist got tortured in the same prison for the same reason. So that's one book I recommend. That's my kind of book.
Okay, that's cool. So I just have to advise people that I'm actually streaming on my stream as well. So I'm gonna get a different angle. This one is on tripod, mine is handheld. But I'm kind of interviewing my wife here, so it's kind of a different kind of stream today. It should be interesting. I see some people swapping from one stream to the other. Well, either that or they're checking out they're going on to the preview, and they're showing up on both. I don't know what's going on. But yeah, she's a well of knowledge when it comes to books and 80s music and all that kind of thing. So we're gonna try to get the conversation going with the wife, and let's see what happens.
I need to get something for this guy, so keep talking.
So we're gonna keep on talking. All right. So I'm just gonna flip the camera on me because that's the way I am. I'm very narcissistic, and I need to have two cameras, two streams on me. So I don't know which phone to look at. What's going on, guys? So to your question, Cannabis, the wine is here, my friend. We have some wine.
I do too. My book is actually a book and a glass of wine.
A glass of wine, so I don't know. I think she just says glass of wine because she likes drinking the wine. She doesn't know much about wine.
No, well, it's the opposite. I'm actually, because I don't know anything about wine, I'm creating a section on wine books for people like myself who would like to become connoisseurs. So
there you go. So if any one of you guys are wine connoisseurs, you can pitch in and just say, you should drink white wine, but this kind of wine, or
Then I will write about it. I'll
and then she'll write about it. So it's gonna be cool. Don't forget, guys, to follow Anna. Anna's Twitter handle is Iria_Anna, and you can find that throughout. I don't know. Do you have the same handle on Instagram and stuff like that, or is it a different thing?
Yes,
it's the same one. So you guys can find her through that and Snapchat.
Pinterest,
Yeah, guys, follow us on Snapchat, and I promise I'll start Snapchatting some crazy shit every day. You guys are gonna like that. I think it's gonna be cool. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I was thinking about it today. I got into a conversation with Braga. I am Braga. Danny, that's his name. And it kind of got me thinking, and that's what I'm gonna do. So if you guys follow me, I will send you a crazy message on Snapchat every day.
Crazy is an understatement.
So every morning I'll get up, I'll go through my contacts on Snapchat only, and I'll send you something.
And then you put it on the story.
So it'll kind of be one of those things that hopefully I won't scare the shit out of you in the morning, but if I do, I'll wake you up. So 0 gram cannabis, the SAT question answer was 420.
Okay.
And continuing. So now let's go. You know, one of the things that I always like to ask people in regards to books is, do you find that people, and in this case for you, your students, do you find that they read, that they have a problem starting to read because they're not reading stuff that they like?
Yeah.
And that the teachers kind of say you have to read this.
Yeah, we're to blame.
And I know that if it's school stuff, it's only natural that happens.
Yeah. No, but we are to blame.
Because curriculum does have those books that...
Yeah, when I say we, it starts from the Ministry of Education all the way down to us. I am a believer that you have to introduce people to novels and great literature, absolutely. I just don't understand, for example, here in Ontario, why they must read almost every play Shakespeare wrote. That's not relevant.
Yeah,
right?
and that's another thing I wanted to touch upon. Do you think there's still relevance for students nowadays to read stuff like Shakespeare? And I understand that is essential for...
It is relevant. It is important.
But...
What we need to keep in mind is... how many of those students are going to continue their career into the literature stream, right? I may be wrong, but I'd say 10% maximum will somehow continue the literature stream. Yeah. So you need to engage your students in everything. And what I do is, okay, for example, in French, we need to introduce them to the classics. We need to introduce them to novels and this and that. It is quite challenging for them to read, for example, the equivalent of Shakespeare being Molière and things like that. So what I do is...
Can you say that name again? I just like the way you say that name. Can you say that name again?
Molière? Okay. So...
That sounded hot, didn't it? That sounded so hot
instead
right there. Can you say it again? Just once more.
God.
Just once more. Say it
I will. Hold on. So instead of reading one entire play by Molière, what I do is I'll select a scene or even one act and we will analyze it. But then, the time it would take me to teach that one entire play, I will do a survey of the class and I will say, how many of you are interested in reading the entire play? And how many of you are interested in reading a novel? How many of you are interested in reading a sports, a biography, whatever? And that's what I assign. So I will then research from each one of the interests what they want to read, and I'll assign. And if I don't know it, I'll read it myself.
So the question I have is in regards to the way things are taught in school. And I know
It can be torture.
Okay. Because I'm speaking from experience, and it's interesting you guys that are coming into the stream and you don't know us that much, or it's your first time in my stream. I'm a designer. I'm all things visual. So my type of reading was actually going through comic books and graphics and stuff like that. That's how I read, and I still do read a lot, but it has to come to me in that sense or online, because I am not the type to read long stuff, you know, like
you're the opposite of me.
I don't mind. I've read a lot of big books and all that, and I like them if they're good. It's okay, but is it something that I do on a regular basis? No,
You're
it's
the
not.
opposite, yeah.
So, like that, I'm sure that let's say half of the class is going to be like me, and the other half right brain, left brain kind of situation, right?
Yeah.
So why is it that when you go into English class, especially in schools, they're only taking care of one side of the brain, and they don't care about the other side of the brain? You know what I mean? And I know you're touching on the subject that you don't mind if they read sports stuff and all of that, but that's you as a teacher, as an individual, you're doing that. But I don't think many teachers, and you can say, you know, I'm sure that they're not going to be watching
hardly anybody.
this,
I get crucified.
Exactly. I don't think that most of the teachers that even teach with you in your school are doing that to kids. And I think that's absolutely wrong, because you need to motivate these kids in order to start reading more, even if it's just going online, even if it's on Twitter. I know it's only 140 characters, but that might...
That's good teaching summarize, because no, they can't teaching summaries because they cannot summarize.
Well, there you go. I was just going to touch on that, because
that's good, actually.
In 140 characters, you're going to be able to actually tell people a story in 140 characters. That's the hardest shit ever.
You gotta be creative.
I'm doing that every day, and I'm thinking to myself, holy cow, how the hell am I going to say this in only one tweet? Like, sometimes I wish I could go like part 1, and this is what I have to say. Part 2, this is what I have to say. You know, because there's just sometimes you want to talk about a certain subject, and 140 characters plus a picture that eats up another couple of characters, right? You don't have enough space. So, but that's one other thing is being able to summarize, but catching kids' attention in reading and grabbing the fact that, you know what, and telling them that reading is okay. If you don't like reading 400, 500 page novels, that's fine. If you like reading 140 characters, but you read a lot of that, then it's going to be fine as well. You're still going to get the knowledge out there. You're still going to get that knowledge in you.
Oh, yeah.
And it's still going to work. That's what I keep telling everyone, like that is into like my type of thing, which is reading just little bits here and there. And you can testify to that. I'm usually known as the well of useless knowledge. Why? Because I read little bits a lot. So if I put all of those little bits of information that, sorry?
I'm saying read the comments too, because you go and you forget
yourself. I keep going. Then I'll go back to the comments, but I have to keep going. Because you lose your train of thought, right? You need to keep going. Actually, that's another subject that I'm going to get into afterwards. But I think that if people read 140 characters throughout the whole day, they're going to get that reading ability, and they're going to like reading, and but they're just different thinkers. And when you're a different thinker, you can't make me...
It's not even that they're different thinkers. It's just different likings. For example, I always compare this. It's always very exciting to start a new school year. Because when I give them a list of stuff they need to read, I always get this.
Yeah, the stare.
All the time. And I keep telling them, by the end of this course, you are going to prove me... Please... Tell me if I'm wrong, but you are all going to love reading, and we are all going to go through this with flying colors. Okay,
but you are the one making that difference with them, right?
I get crucified though, because I'm stepping a little bit outside curriculum.
So going back to that, are your colleagues in school that are doing the same thing criticizing you for doing that?
Yeah. Yes.
And why do you think that is?
Insecure. Because it's their comfort zone, because you go into literature with a mindset, and the people who write these documents for the ministry are the same. This is like people who convince themselves that their opinion is the best and everything else you say is bad. And and they criticize. No, that's not how. Well, it's your opinion, right? So it's the same kind of thing. There is a population, and it's fear, and it's instilled by professors because they're afraid of losing their job if they don't have the numbers of students inside their classrooms, blah, 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 blah. What they're not realizing sometimes is that
they're losing the students.
They're doing that, right? So the importance of people, big names in literature, absolutely. I have a master's. Like, I read those guys. They are important. They must be taught. But it's the approach you take. It's saying that why are you reading Asterix and Obelix when you should be reading Honoré de Balzac, or you should be reading Charles Dickens, or you know, and it's.
Sorry, I just have to stop. This is getting sexy. The way that she's saying these names in French.
I'll say
it's
the
just
English
coming
one.
out. It's rolling off of her tongue so nicely that this stream might have to end quite soon.
You just interrupted me.
But I know. But keep going. Sorry, I just had to. I had to.
So what was I saying? See,
You were saying that instead of Asterix and Obelix.
So yeah, they and what I keep telling them is, you can teach all of these things that the ministry tells you to, but at the end of the day, my goal as a teacher is, do I want to torture them? And at the end of this class, they feel miserable, they don't have a very good class, and they will not remember anything, or do I want to teach less, but out of it, I have made 2 kids who really want to go into literature open their minds to what's around them, and made the other ones who are not interested in Animal Farm and things like that. Right? Exactly. And most of them, we were having this conversation this week. The final project we had was exactly that. I told them, here is a YouTube video. Now, I got crucified for that one too. But I said, here's a YouTube video of 12 minutes that tells you all the important French writers from the 16th to the 20th century. Choose 5, give me a short biography, interview 1.
Okay, but now this is where I have a little bit of an issue. So what happens? So whoa, I almost dropped my phone. What happens in your school? And obviously your school is
It's actually
part of a
considered
board.
a good school, yeah.
Yeah, it's a good school, but nonetheless, it's part of a board that is here in Ontario, so you guys have to follow the rules. I understand. But my point in case here is life is changing day by day. We see this all the time, right? I mean, you guys are here listening to us talk about this. This is proof that life is changing. People are now getting into live stream. People have had YouTube for over 10 years, Facebook, all these social media things, blogs, all this kind of stuff. How has the school system changed to adapt to actually recognize these things and get closer to their students in order to motivate them into reading more? Because I'll tell you the truth, back in my time, we didn't have this stuff. Yeah, I'm old, guys. It's not. I didn't go color my hair. I just went to color it. It's great, but it's because I'm getting old. Back in my day, if I wanted to read, I had to get my ass out of the. I was gonna say the office. I gotta get my ass out of school or home and go to a library and find the books and do the research and do all this stuff. Nowadays, people have all this on their phones. But I find that most people are not doing that. They're not going through their phones even to
because
do
it
that
became instant knowledge.
The interest is not there any longer.
No.
And I think that now students, and correct me if I'm wrong, students now think they're used to reading 140 characters. They're used to the short stories, right? For them to go into a library and read a whole damn book, it's kind of ludicrous. I'm not saying abolish it, but do you see an effort from the board system or education in general around the world, because I know you keep tabs on everything, are they making a change to adapt to the technology that is here today? I'm not talking about the technology that's going to come around.
The lingo is
stuff
there.
That's here today.
The lingo is there. There's actually this project called 21st Century Learning. The lingo is there to basically impress. No, the short answer to your question is no, they're not. I'm the only person in my department giving paperless assignments. So instead of giving me an essay with the 5 writers I told them to write about, I made them create a Tumblr blog for me on them. And I have actually outstanding Tumblrs. But I'm the only one. I'm the only one that did that. And the kids loved it. The kids actually loved it. Wow, feeling nice. But yes.
I'm just going to go through a comment here. You have Germany 2263. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
He's, or she, I don't know, sorry. Is mentioning YouTube is great in the classroom.
Oh, I use it all the time. But like I said, but it's a comfort zone that some teachers have. Some of them are pretty young too, which is kind of scary.
But it's a comfort zone because they don't want to get updated, or is it just because they don't know?
They don't know and they refuse to in most cases because they've been doing, here's my binder, I've done this for a few years and this is how it works. How the hell do you know this is how it works if you haven't tried anything else? Right?
Well, that was going to be my question.
So, and I keep telling them, okay, this worked fine for me, but I'm going to try something else. So until recently, I've been paperless for a while. My kids were doing PowerPoints.
Save the trees, people. Just save the trees.
My kids were doing PowerPoints. And this year, and they were working fine. I mean, they were doing a really good job with it. But this year I said, let me make this more interesting. And let me give them Tumblr. Oh my God, it just got better. The kids were excited about it. They loved reading about it. And when it comes to reading, then I give them that choice too. After we read one of the novels we had to read, I gave them the choice. I did that survey and I said, okay, so you get to read this, you get to read this, you get to read that. And some of the books I didn't know, so I read them myself. But I got them all reading. And now that we're looking back and I told them, okay, how many of you still think that this is stupid and you still don't like to read? They all said, well, you made us realize that, two of them said, we still don't like to read, but it's okay to read when we want to learn things that we like. So one of them actually took out the history of hockey because he loves hockey. And I ended up learning a lot of things. For example, the Toronto Maple Leafs haven't won since 1960, whatever. I didn't know that. So I said, okay, yeah, there you go. Because I'm not a sports person. So I will never read a sports. But I was glad he did. And I actually learned something because I love history. So that was the historical part of it.
I have a question here. Well, not a question, more of a comment from Melanie_Canada.
Hi, Melanie.
Thank you for being here, by the way.
She's from Vancouver, right?
Yeah, I think she is in Vancouver right now. She's saying the schools don't have computers in classes in our public schools.
No, they don't.
And that, for me, right now, in June 2015, seeing going to a school that doesn't have technology available to their kids should be against the freaking law.
Gets better.
Because it's, and sorry, you're probably going to touch on this, so I'm going to just put it out there so you can just kind of go into it. The fact that they don't have schools and they don't get kids ready for what's out there.
They have schools, they just don't have the technology.
Did I say schools? Mm-hmm. Sorry. When I get into rants, my mind just goes crazy. But yeah, if they don't have computers, how the hell can you guys teach something to a kid? And
what's more, the teachers have this allergy to phones that it's quite incredible. The phone shouldn't be in the classroom, right? And I get it. Some kids might go on, they still think students go on Facebook, and I keep telling them, no, they don't. They go on Snapchat and all of that stuff. And it's true. But if you engage the student, they will not. If you respect them, if you tell them, listen, this is what we need to do. It's a matter of respect. I'm trying to teach you. I'm trying to allow you to use everything you have that I wish I had 20 years ago. So let's work on this. And they will actually do it. It's all a matter of timing yourself and putting and setting guidelines for them to follow. So I have, in my particular school, and again, we have one, I'm lucky enough to work in one of the best schools for our board. In Ontario, we have boards of education under the ministry. So there are 2 or 3 classrooms that have Macs, not the latest version, but that have Macs, and those are for the business and computer science, whatever the courses are called these days. And there are 3 classrooms, so I'm assuming probably, I don't know, 70, 80 computers there. The other classrooms have no computers. There's just one computer for the teacher to use.
And how old is that computer?
That's what I was gonna get to. When was XP the big? I think
they just rolled out Windows 10. And guys,
okay, so we still have XP.
If I'm wrong on this, let me know because I'm a Mac user, so I don't know.
But that's why I was asking.
But I think Windows just rolled out version 10, so I think, or something like that.
We have XP on most of the computers.
XP, wow, XP.
And the Word version we have is from 97 to whatever, 2004 or something like that.
Okay.
So most of the stuff, if not all of it, that the kids bring from home, they cannot project because it doesn't open. So here we are. If your parents are okay, bring your own laptops.
Well, I have Germany 22263 on your stream that's saying good points. As teachers, we need to move with technology. So I'm
Yes.
guessing you're a teacher. Germany
Absolutely.
2263. Let me see if I have a name here. I don't. I usually like referring to
Names.
people by names,
But-
but if you're okay with it, let us know your name and more importantly, let us know where you're viewing us from. Are you in the States? Are you in Canada?
Or Germany.
Or Germany? I mean, because with a name like that,
Yeah, it really bothers me that I want to.
sorry, I just
Yeah.
want to say Zero Graph, thank you for that. He's saying that Windows 10 comes out on July 29th. Thank
Well,
you.
there you go,
'Cause
Zero Graph.
I think I heard a rumor, but I wasn't sure.
So when XP is from when?
XP?
Yeah. Just out
Oh
of
God, I
curiosity.
don't know. XP is like
That's
it's
what
quite
we
a
have.
few years ago. Yeah.
That's what we have. Anyways, so yeah, going back to books, that's my approach. And then I always think I never teach the book. I talk about the book with a passion. I read it, and
But that's what I tell people. Even if you're doing social media, you gotta show passion. If
Yeah.
you don't show passion,
I don't.
people will not follow you. People will not
Yeah.
read your books.
And you can tell, like sometimes if I really enjoy a book, sometimes the students are like, "Madame, that's one of your favorites, isn't it?" I said, "Yeah, how the heck, you know?" Oh, cause you just went on and on and on and on about it,
Zero
the
Graph is
themes.
saying that XP is 10 plus years old.
Oh, there you go. See, I'm so glad I love history. I'll relate to that.
It's all about history, Zero Graph. They're doing a history class every time they need to use their computer.
Oh, Jesus. So, yeah, you know, why do I like books? My blog is about books. There's a section on my blog called A Book and a Glass of Wine. That doesn't mean it's, it talks about wine. It just gives you, you know, if you're reading this book, try a glass of this wine that goes with it. That kind of thing, right?
Okay.
But I do have a section about wine books that I'm trying to educate I don't know anything about wine. I know what I like to drink. But I am trying to educate myself in that area as well. So there's a section of books I've encountered that I think are pretty good and that which I plan to read over the summer. But then there are the book suggestions and reviews. Like I said, I love memoirs. I love real life stories, but I'm also a huge lover of fiction and novels and things like that. So any questions?
So Germany said, just call me Germany. So that's why I'm saying Germany
All right.
said.
love
He's,
Kafka.
can I at least know if it's a he or a she so I don't keep on saying the wrong thing? But he's in the States and teaches nursing courses.
Oh,
So that's pretty cool. It's a different
interesting.
aspect.
Yeah.
And being in the school system in the States, it's obviously a little bit
Austria.
different. So and then Sparks is saying, what is your blog address? So that's another
Journal
thing. that-
Chest, one word, journalchest.tumblr.com.
So say it slowly, please.
Journal, JOURNAL, chest, CHEST, tumblr.com.
So there you go.
So, and it's a chest of, it's a journal of many different
Cool.
things I like.
That's cool. And Melanie_Canada is in my stream, and she's asking. She's commenting and saying that it was frustrating trying to get a kid's security for elementary school, which required one computer in the class, and we can't accomplish it here.
Yeah.
This is really, really frustrating, and this is where I kind of get into my rants because I cannot understand that in today's day and age.
Go back to books.
No, it's not about books, man. It's about school systems realizing that we are not in the Stone Age anymore. This here, sorry if I'm shaking this a lot, but this is a phone. And guess what? Every single person has a phone. From, I'm guessing, 10, 11, 12 years old on, I don't think there's any human being in North America or in most of the world that doesn't have one of these. So the fact that the school system is still pulling back and saying you need to do it this way because this is how we've been doing it for years and years
It's a
now.
comfort zone, right?
It's just stupid. Get with it, people. Zerograph, thank you so much. He actually published journalchess.tumblr.com.
Thank you, Zero.
That's why I like you, man. I don't care. You know, if my wife...
And you know what? Suggestions on books. I love them. Suggestion of what do you want me to talk about? What do you want me to write about? I'm putting... something funny came out. I'm putting videos, quotes, reviews. Like I said, it's the stuff, book suggestions. I'm not... there's a section for international authors that is not quite complete yet, even though I have a few things there, of books that are translated into English, because, you know, as I think it's important. But yeah, give me suggestions. I will most likely read them. I'm, you know, going back to what you were saying, that you like to see things happening fast. I'm with you watching season 5 of Game of Thrones, but I'm finishing the second book. They're so much better. It's just, you know... But I realize they're 800 pages or something. I don't know, because I have them on my iPad. But
and in that sense, I do have to agree with you, because I've read a couple of books that are now on TV and have been on movies and stuff like that. And yeah, for sure. Movies that are done based on a book, you're not going to get a third, I think, of what you can read on a book and pick up on a book, and just that extra little stuff, description, the thoughts,
the feelings, everything.
That's why we've been married for 14 years. We think alike. Nora, thank you for being here. We're talking about books, and we're here with Anna, and she's talking about... We're talking about all this stuff that's going on.
Anyone new on my stream that I can say hi to? You know, don't ignore my people.
Joanne M is saying, is she Portuguese?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, she is Portuguese. Absolutely. Well,
you're the first one to get that from my accent. I get French Canadian all the time.
And Germany is female, so I apologize for saying he all the time.
So
I just went with that approach.
Sexist.
You can't hear me? Really? I'm yelling here.
Yes, I am Portuguese. Born in Canada, raised in Portugal.
Yeah, it's actually interesting. We were both born here, and in Toronto. We were both raised in Portugal. So we do have a different perspective when it comes to culture and books and all that kind of stuff. Since today's streams seem to be all about books. But
it's my métier.
Now I'm going to throw you that question. How much has the fact that you were raised in Portugal and you were reading a different kind of literature, and let's be honest, I mean, we have a lot more history in Portugal than we have in North America. I mean, it goes back centuries and centuries, right? So what did that affect you? How did that affect you in regards to who you are today and what you read right now? And what you're seeing on the new authors, like, give me kind of like, how much has that affected you?
That's a tough question. Being raised in Portugal, I think most of Europe kind of went through that in the mid 80s, was you were exposed to everything being published in Europe. So, for example, and for thinking of the Germany, I read Kafka, which is quite tough, quite challenging. I read Kafka in grade 8. It's not called The Process in English. The Trial. In English, it's called The Trial. The process is in Portuguese. But I was almost forced to read these authors because that's what the school system was teaching you, right? However, because of the history, a lot of the books that were written for children or young adults or teenagers were based on historical facts in Portugal. For example, you remember the collection Viagens no Tempo, and that means time travel, right?
Yeah.
So the collection Time Travel in Portugal was actually about two kids and one teacher who invent a time machine and go back in time to recount the history of Portugal for kids in an adventurous way.
That's cool. So I just have to say, we have someone here, Joanne O.M., Kiss from Porto. So there's someone actually...
Oh my God, I studied in Porto during the summer. My Portuguese degree is from Faculdade de Letras. So there you go.
Okay,
Hi.
so just wanted to throw that in. So keep going.
So I remember reading about, and my all-time favorite was actually a translation, Os Cinco, 5, which was from Enid Blyton in the UK. So she was writing the collection 5 in the UK, which was being translated into Portuguese as Os Cinco. I loved that. It was, your, I guess, not really Harry Potter, but I can't even compare. It was a whole, it was an
It was
adventure.
5 kids, basically.
No, 4 kids and a dog.
4 kids and a dog. Yeah.
And
yeah,
my
yeah.
dog was actually named after that dog. It was Tim.
There you
But
go.
you know, so yes, I was reading in Portuguese, but I was reading about all these things. Most of them were translations, and it exposed me to a world of creativity and imagination that I think came from a country being so small and not producing enough. We were producing a lot, but maybe not enough to read, and so we were open to all of these things. On top of
But
that,
things have changed now.
oh,
lately, yeah.
yes, we're talking mid-80s, right? So on top of that, we had outstanding authors that we were forced. For me, oh,
There you go.
my Lego guy.
This is my Lego guy. He loves doing his Lego stuff, so he'll be interrupting us every once in a while.
So for me, I don't know, that played something. And then my teachers were exposing me to outstanding authors who won many awards, and some of them were even nominated for huge prizes. And I'm thinking Sophia de Mello Breiner, who is still related, family related to Heinz Andersen in the
Come again?
Heinz Andersen, right?
Okay.
You know,
Is Heinz ketchup?
Heinz, almost like that. So
All right.
she was his, I don't know, great granddaughter, whatever. But there was that relationship. Alice Vieira, I mean, outstanding for children, for teenagers.
Has she ever been translated into English, Elise?
I'm not sure because I always read
'Cause
it
she's
in
a pretty good
Portuguese, right?
writer.
Author, yeah.
Author,
I
yeah.
will look into it. Maybe she has. I'm not sure. So yeah, so I got exposed to that. At 14, I come to Canada, and so I start reading in English. I start to learn the language because I didn't speak English, right?
But
So
even though you were here and you were reading English,
I
you're
kept
still
reading in
yeah.
Portuguese. Well, in part because I always wanted to finish my language, my Portuguese language degree. So, and that's why I ended up in Porto a couple of summers. But yeah, no, I kept reading Mia Couto. Right now I read Mia Couto. Classics. Essa de Queiroz is my favorite in Portuguese. Translated into English, a lot of it.
You know, since we're talking about Portuguese authors, I mean, one of the things that I found interesting is that we have great writers, and we've had a couple of them being translated into English. And
Many
all of
are being translated now, yeah.
that. Paulo Coelho,
Brazilian, though.
Brazilian Portuguese, is probably one of the most translated.
In any language, almost. He's
Yeah.
a phenomenon.
Quite crazy the amount of translations that he's had in his books.
40-something languages.
From Portuguese, Brazilian. He's had a couple of movies, or was it just one? The blindness that was.
No, that's the Saramago.
Oh shoot! Yeah. I'm confusing my authors. So, but
Yeah.
blindness was
That's
Saramago,
José
right?
Saramago,
Yeah,
novel. Our only novel in Portugal.
But Paulo Coelho also had a movie done, wasn't it? Or I'm just confusing the two.
No, I don't think
Am
so.
I
The
confusing?
Alchemist is a very known book.
The Alchemist is extremely well known.
I don't think there's
They
a
never-
movie on it. No, I don't
Okay,
think
so then I was thinking about blindness.
Yeah, Blindness is José Saramago.
And the movie, I read the book,
Very good book.
and the movie was the book. I couldn't wait to finish it at the end of the day.
But there you go.
Then I went on to the movie because when the movie came out, I had just read the book, and I'm all excited, and I started watching the movie, and I was so disappointed.
That one
with
was
it.
not lost in translation. That one was lost in interpretation. Which is a different kind of thing, right? But there you go. Not every person can read José Saramago. He's a very...
and do you think that was the problem when it came to translating
I
that
don't know.
into the movie screen?
I don't know. It might have been. It really might have been because Zé Saramago is very. How can I put this? He's beyond your normal way of thinking. He's the kind of. It's almost like we live at, this is our level as humanity, and he's somewhere up here, And you really have very philosophical at times, his thoughts are so deep, so complex, but he doesn't describe them. And that's what makes him so good, right? Like in comparison.
But it was difficult in that movie, especially. I remember.
Oh, even reading. A lot of what he writes, I go back 3 times to really understand what the heck it is that he's trying to tell.
Yeah, but in the movie, then that translates into a huge problem because then it becomes it's, you know, you have a limited time to actually explain all of that stuff that's in the book. And I mean, the actors were good. We even had Mark Ruffalo, which is the guy,
And,
Ruffalo, or whatever his name is. I can
forget
never
her
pronounce
name.
his name. But he's the guy that does the new Hulk
Moore,
now on
what's
the
her name?
Avengers. So I guess that will
More. What's her name?
be on the what?
Her Julianne Moore. Thank you.
Yeah, great actors,
Yeah.
and they did a good job. I think it was more the issue of the screenwriting,
Interpretation.
how they read the book and kind of flipped it afterwards into the screen. That's where it got lost in translation.
Interpretation in this
it's
case.
not only the translation in language here, because it is kind of a different language. You're changing from a book to a movie.
But
and the
Blindness, the book
different.
Blindness is well translated. I've read it in English too. It's well translated. And actually, if you're a fan of Blindness, read the it's not a sequel, but it kind of follows, which is Seeing, right? And in Portuguese is Lucidez. They go hand in hand. Blindness, and then after Blindness came Seeing. But yeah, no, it was definitely the interpretation of it. I think.
You know what?
Yeah.
Just because we're talking about this movie, I'm actually going to just. Sorry, I just saw a comment. I'm actually gonna watch Blindness again, and I'm actually gonna try to see if it was just my way of watching the movie.
No,
because
I wasn't too crazy
I was
about it.
extremely influenced by the book that I had just read, so it might have been me.
Yeah.
So I will re-watch it again, and I just have to say, Manuel Lagares.
Hi, Manuel.
Is saying that he loves our kitchen, but then he just he goes, oh no,
What?
Jamie's too cheap. He got the Mr. Coffee knockoff. What are you seeing back there? Like, seriously, guys? You come into my stream to see what kind of coffee machine I have? Really?
It's actually a pretty good one.
It's not Keurig, actually. By the way, it's Nestle. Yeah, it's
Dolce Gusto.
Dolce Gusto. Dolce Gusto. So right there, you can see the finesse, the artistry that's
any
behind
comments there?
that coffee right there.
Any comments on? Because you tend to ignore my stuff.
You can't ignore it because that's your stream. Germany's saying that Blindness was fantastic. See?
Yeah, I honestly, Germany, I didn't like the movie, but then again, I'm not a movie person. And you know, when I'm watching a movie, I'm doing something else all the time. That's just who I am. Because I had read the book, and I guess it was the same thing for me, I was not too impressed, even though the themes were there. Yes, it does make you think. There's that touch of Saramago to it. But yeah, but it might be me. I'm not a movie person.
Okay,
so yeah.
no, you know what? I want to correct myself here because Germany says Blindness was fantastic.
The book.
But then afterwards, she says the movie was terrible. So, so there you go. It kind of goes right exactly
it's just
where
not
we
for
were.
yeah. For
And I
me,
don't want to skip Sparks' comment. She says, I love him. Did you know he had sold the rights to The Alchemist?
Yes.
He's on Twitter.
Paulo Coelho, right?
Paulo Coelho's on Twitter. I'm not following him. Are you?
I do
You
follow
do?
him.
Of course you do.
And he actually tweets in Portuguese, Spanish, English, French, if I'm not mistaken. I think I've seen him do some stuff in French as well. But yes, yeah, he does that. By the way, Paulo Coelho, I've read every single book of his. He's very mystic. A lot of people criticize the too much religion side to him.
Well, you gotta read between the lines, right?
And you know what? He's not promoting a religion. He's promoting spirituality, which is in a way
no, the Alchemist. Right? The Alchemist, and you know what? I've read The Alchemist so long ago that I have to reread it because I remember at the time that I loved the book, but now it's like you miss the bits and pieces, right?
So yeah, he's very good. But of all the books that he has written, and I've read them all in Portuguese, so I don't know how they translate in most cases, but one that I love is Verónica decide morrer. So Veronica decides to die. I think it's called Veronica in English, but I'll look it up for you guys. But that one is the question of suicide among young people. It's an awesome novel. And the second one I love, and that's just because I was raised a Catholic, but I'm more of an ecumenic. Like, I accept every religion as long as they do good. Any religion that uses itself to promote bad stuff is a bad religion, and I don't identify with with it or with the aspect of it. So I am a big, I criticize, we're not going to get into religion, but
we don't.
I
One
never
of the
do.
rules,
No,
one
I
of the
never do.
rules
But
tell
I need
people-
to I need to say this so that I explain the book that I'm going to mention, right? So
yeah,
I
but
am.
I just need to say, one of the rules, people in Meerkat, don't get into sports, religion, and what's the other one?
Politics.
Politics. Don't get into that.
But anyways, so I am very critical of the Catholic Church, but I'm Catholic, raised Catholic, and to me, there's no point changing because, like I said, they're like political parties. There's something good about them, and there's something not so good about them. But having said this, one of the books I like by Paulo Coelho is, in English, I think it's called River Piedra, which is Junto ao Rio Piedra Sentei e Chorei. That's a long title in Portuguese. So it's By the River Piedra, I sat down and I cried. And that one is about the calling to priesthood. And I loved it because, you know, the struggle priests go through. And it's just amazing. But if you are into this mystic kind of literature, Paulo Coelho, absolutely. A lot of people will criticize and say, oh my God, how can you? And those are the intellectuals that sometimes don't know much about books, but they just go with the flows of being intellectual.
Germany saying Alchemist was very deep.
Yes.
I agree 100%.
Read the other, I don't know if you've read other books by him, Germany. I will look up the translation. As I said, I read them in Portuguese because I do read the books in their...
what was it again?
Just go Paulo Coelho in English and see what's been translated. I'm sure most of them have been. But the Aleph was really good too. There is another one. Oh, 11 minutes. 11 minutos. Is that what's called? Yes, 11 minutes. And it's about prostitution. You know, and there you go. The themes are so deep, so profound. That, you know, if you're not into the religious side or the spiritual side, fine, put that aside. But through it, try to understand what it is that he's trying to tell you. And that definitely is, for me, is... So O Diário do Mago is the pilgrimage. That one is really good too.
I just passed on the Wikipedia version of what Paulo Coelho has written and the translation in English. And being a bookworm, I'm sure that she's read most of them.
I read them all.
If not all.
Paulo Coelho, I read them all.
So she's going to go through them all and kind of give a little very short snippet of what they're all about. And that can kind of get you guys going in the sense of what you should choose to read. Because she's going to go, oh, this one is good. And this one was confusing. So there you go.
So before people seem to think that The Alchemist was his first book. It was not. Before that, The Pilgrimage, O Diário de Mago, is an amazing book. He walks the way to Santiago. It's called O Caminho de Compostela, and it's a pilgrimage you do to Santiago in the northern part of Spain.
Actually, we did that a couple years back.
You did it by car, but people actually walk it. The pilgrims, right?
Okay, people, I cheated. I drove there, but I went there, and it was nice. It's a very nice place. Actually, Manuel Lagares, I don't know if he's here, but he's close by to that.
His father is from Galician, right?
If I'm not mistaken, he had mentioned that his parents, his father is actually from Galicia, so
there you go.
He should know that place very well.
Yeah.
Because
outstanding! If you are ever in the northern part of Spain, please go to Compostela. It's an amazing town, and even if you're not religious, the architecture of that cathedral is just going to be whoa, like it will blow your mind. But anyways, so before The Pilgrimage, he actually published, I thought it was 3, but it's actually 4 things. And the first one was the Manifest of Griga. Again, it was published in the year I was born, 1970. So that is, it's got a political touch to it, and it reflects a lot of what Brazil was going through in the 1970s, but absolutely, if you like it. Then he published the same year Theater for Education, and as the title indicates, it's all about education. And then he wrote the Hell Archives, right?
Hold on, education where, in Brazil?
Yes, at this point, we're talking the 70s, yes. At this point, he was not known. So Hell Archives are not just about hell. It's about society, sometimes as a living hell, right? And then o manual.
Welcome to today's world.
O Manual Prático do Vampirismo, so the practical manual of vampirism. So vampires, it was not Twilight that introduced the vampires. By the way,
are you serious? It wasn't the. Oh my God!
By the way, amazing books. If you are for teenagers, it made a lot of teenagers read. I have the 4 books. Keep in mind, for teenagers, they're not that bad. A lot of people just go, oh my God, but no. For teenagers,
Well, at least it gets them
well
reading,
written.
right?
For teenagers, well written. And then we have The Pilgrimage. So that's when he starts being famous, right? After that, The Alchemist, and then after that, Brida. I was not too crazy about Brida, even though it's okay. And I was not too crazy about in 1992 As Valkyrias, the Valkyries. Didn't tell me much. It's too... The angels have certain powers that I don't know, just not my stuff. Maktub is prayers. It's a book of prayers. But interesting, not just, again, not from a Catholic or a Christian, whatever point of view, but more from a nature kind of point of view with Christ as part of it, right? So there, that's the part. And then, so I was very close. By the River Piedra, I sat down and instead of I cried, I wept. So that is very good. A call to priesthood, what the priests go through. What if they fall in love? And what happens and things like that, right?
I think that's
Don't
the big
get into
debate.
that.
Yeah, we're not going to get into that because it's a whole bunch of religion
Then
stuff.
the fifth mountain is based in the Old Testament. I cannot remember which book that is. It's not Isaiah, but it's anyways. I'll find out. It's one of the books in the Old Testament, and it comes from the widow that had to pray to the mountain. And this book is mostly about you as a human being and your path and your journey in life, and that's very it's very deep.
That's going deep.
That's very deep. Then Manual of the Warrior of Light, again a whole bunch of prayers and things like he once in a while he does this.
So guys, I just want you guys that are kind of coming into the stream right now. I'm holding two phones here. One has Anna's stream going on, one has my stream going on. From my stream, guys, follow Anna on her Twitter account. It's Iria_Anna. She's gonna start doing this at least on a weekly basis. She's not gonna promise doing this on a daily basis because she's a pretty busy lady, mother of two. She might be doing a lot more now on the summertime because she is a teacher and she's got some time off. But follow her, and if you just came in, we're talking about books today, and she's actually going through, we kind of...
Someone mentioned Paulo Coelho. I've read them all.
I don't know if it was me or someone, I don't know how that went, but...
no, you mentioned blindness and you mistaken me.
Yeah, I was kind of getting all of it confused because I'm a designer and that's what I do. So we're going through, the list of books that Paulo Coelho has published. And because Anna has read every single book in this list, she's actually giving 2 cents of advice if it's a good book or not a good book. And she's also commenting on the fact of what the title is when it was translated into English. So I just like to every once in a while come back into the stream because a lot of people just walk in and then they're like, what the hell is going on? What are these guys talking about?
But even though it's a book, right?
Zero Graph says, I know nothing about books. So Zero Graph, you have to definitely stay in this stream so you learn something from Meerkat to you.
Ask yourself, what is it that I like to read about? That's the first question.
Yeah.
So going back to Paulo Coelho, actually Veronica is translated exactly, literal translation. So Cid Morrer decides to die, Veronica decides to die, and it is a question of suicide among young people. Palavras, essential words, that's again one of those reflection, religious, spiritual things. And then I like this one, The Devil and Miss Prim. It's also very nice.
So that one was a good one?
And not in comparison to Alchemist. I would put it beside Brida. So not his best, but not a bad one either, especially if you are into this is when he was being called a bruxo, and that means like a sorcerer, a warlock of some kind. Because he does explore the dark magic, what it means sometimes to be in that world. What makes you a person that can, with magic, accomplish certain things. And so that's where the devil comes in, because it's a dark magic kind of thing.
So let me ask you a question about Paulo Coelho. And when it comes to his writing, do you think he goes into a lot of the mystical?
Oh, he's a mystic.
So what would you kind of put him? What kind of group of writer would you put him in? Like the mystical part?
He is so unique. Yeah.
I guess because you see, sometimes it's dangerous to put a label.
Yeah, but there's definitely
he's definitely
yeah.
spiritual and mystical in that sense, but he is not your cheap writer. He doesn't write about mysticism for the sake of it, or just because, you know, oh, I can communicate with angels, now this is what I'm going to write about. He actually understands literature. And so you got to be careful with the labels, because sometimes people might say, oh, he's just one of those you can't stand, right? No, he's very profound. He's very, he understands literature. He knows how to communicate it. And his themes are very real, very present day themes, but he also, he's the opposite of what Jean-Paul Sartre would have been. He's not an existentialist. He believes in something that goes beyond us. We are not just this. There's something beyond that makes us what we are. And that's Paulo Coelho, right? So that's why you got to be careful how you label him. He's, you know, he's a very good writer. He's a very good literature person who chooses to write, who's not an atheist. Let me put it that way, right? And it doesn't necessarily...
So he's not an atheist?
If he is, then he comes across as the opposite of it, right? He's very spiritual, very in tune with his...
But
whatever it is he believes in.
But do you think he's got a specific religion that he follows, or is he just a man that knows a lot about religion?
He definitely knows.
And, you know, and I'm saying this because some people, and I'm a bit like that, you know, I was raised in the Catholic Church, not too much. And so now whenever I go, you were raised more into the Catholic.
Full-blown Catholic, yeah. That's
Catholic
why I can
Church.
be critical of it.
And because of you, I every once in a while go to church with you, and I find myself in church not so much questioning, but
you should.
I guess you do have to say questioning in a good sense, right? I'm not saying that it's in a bad
critical
sense.
Thinking, questioning is good.
Yeah, like I listen to what the priest is saying, and I'm thinking to myself, does that make any sense? So, because even though I was raised to be a Catholic, I listen to every religion, and I try to grab the best of that religion. Obviously, let's not get into being a fanatic and all of
Step
that.
out of that.
That's completely off. In any religion, I think that's wrong. That's my personal opinion. If you don't like it, too bad. Just get out of the freaking stream.
Here and pretend to talk about the Soviet Union when I don't know much about the Soviet Union. So it will be noticeable that I'm not being myself. I'm just shooting at you stuff I've learned.
Yeah.
However, if you ask me to talk about Paulo Coelho, you will notice it's genuine because I've actually read him.
Sorry,
right?
guys. My stream is only in... Oh, okay. I was going to say we're only in audio only, but we're back.
So you can't possibly write what he writes if you just know a bit about, or if you know about it. You gotta feel something at some level. What that something is, I'm not sure. He does come across as a very spiritual person, very mystique.
Yeah,
very,
he obviously knows a lot about religion.
What religion is it? I don't know.
Yeah.
But then again, they're so similar. They're so fine-tuned at some point. Most of them are like that. You know, like I've read the Bible many times for university and for pleasure. It's a symbolic book. It's an amazing book of literature.
Do you think that because you don't really know or really understand what religion he's into, right? Do you think that's why he has the following he has? Because he can be generic when he's writing his books. He can touch a lot of different religions without specifically saying
or maybe he's
Catholic
just
or this or that and the other. So is that his trick? Is that the way he approaches people?
I don't know, but maybe it is. But it doesn't mean that he has one specific... I can almost be sure, I think it's safe to say that he believes in Jesus. I think he sees in Jesus some...
Do you think he's a religious man, though?
Yeah. Well, if you understand Jesus the way he describes Jesus, and because he goes back to referring the Bible and things like that, I think so. Is he Catholic? Is he Christian? I'm not sure. I think he is a bit like me in that sense. He is someone who believes in nature, who believes in a positive force, very strong force that I choose to call God, and you may choose to call sun, and someone else may choose to call the rain, but it's that he tries to send to you. And being a very spiritual, mystic person is that, right? It is having that kind of belief.
So I have on your stream. I also enjoy Gabriel Marquez in Spanish.
Yeah, I've read Cien Años de Soledad, and that took me a while because, like I said, Spanish is not.
Of course, she's read Gabriel Marquez.
Gabriel Garcia Marquez, right?
He even knows the middle name, Gabriel Garcia.
He is.
Porque supuestamente que Gabriel Marquez no es suficiente para que sea. No. Okay,
he used to sign his name as Gabriel Garcia Marquez, right? Unfortunately, we've lost him already. But yeah, it took me a while to read. I believe in English it's called 100 Years of Solitude or something like that. But yeah, it's Cien Años is definitely a masterpiece. So different from Paulo Coelho for sure, but wow, wow, very good too.
Good. Okay, so do you want to continue going there, or do you want to talk
Paulo
about
Coelho?
other stuff?
Yeah, I'll just finish. So 11 minutes, I recommend. One of my favorite by Paulo Coelho. It's about prostitution, and what people sometimes the illusion of dreams in society. Zaire, so there's a few in between that he published, but they're not that important because they're prayers and things like that. But Zaire, very, very good too. Goes into the Arabic world.
Mm-hmm. So he not only he touches,
there's many. He
touches a lot on religion.
That's why he's a mystique, a spiritual.
But he also travels the world in his books, right?
He is. This is gonna be dangerous to say, but his religion is based on traveling experiences, right? So that's what it is in a way, right?
Sparks is asking, do you think his mental illness plays into his writing?
Probably, I would say most likely.
Most likely,
most likely, right? You know, there's a saying in the Portuguese language that of poets and crazy people, we all have a little bit, which is the craziness in us makes us who we are. And
so now I get it. I'm a poet.
You think? What else can I recommend from here? Like The Flowing River for sure. The Witch of Portobello. There you go. Witches again. He goes into it. The Valkyries are the same. And then The Winner Stands Alone. It's about the glamour. It's based on the Cannes movie festival. Mm-hmm. And it is an amazing criticism of what Hollywood and Cannes and the movie industry is all about. So that's why The Winner Stands Alone.
I'm switching the camera up to me, not because I love the camera, or probably because I do. I'm a big narcissist. So
the portrait of Dorian.
What I want to tell, I have 2 streams going on. I just can't get enough of myself. So one phone is not enough. I have my phone. And so whoever's on Creative 7 Inc., I would advise you and suggest to you if that you should follow Anna at Iria_Anna. She's going to be streaming. We're not going to leave her alone because, as you've noticed throughout the night, she's a well of useless knowledge. No, very useful knowledge. And we should incentivize people like her to continue to stream because we need to get good stuff out there, stuff with actual meaning to it. And I think this is a perfect platform for something like this. So the other thing I want to ask you guys is, first of all, I want to thank you before asking you anything. I want to thank you guys from both streams here that, we've got about 26 people on your stream, 55 on mine. And it's we have quite a big amount of numbers here. Money, I wish. If we could get a buck out of all these numbers, that would be amazing.
In that sense.
But it's not the point. It's the point that people are actually tuning in and listening to us and doing all that.
I'm humble.
And that's very cool. And we thank you guys, both of us, for being here. My son is saying 2 minutes, 2 plus something else. We're gonna be continuing to stream and guys, you know what? Support the people that are spending some time to do these streams and all of that. I see quite a few of them that have gone through my stream as well, and Anna's. You know, I always advise you guys to kind of go through the icons on the top and find out who's listening and viewing the same stream that you're viewing, because usually those people are interested in the same stuff that you guys are interested in. I see Mama G on mine. I see a couple of other people that you know, Sparks on Anna's side. People that are streaming as well, and you guys should follow. Everyone that spends a little bit of their time to stream and try to give out as much information as they can. I think that the community, and I'm saying this because I believe that the meerkat community is out there, we should help each other out. So guys, follow Anna, favorite, retweet as much as you can. If you can do that on my end, I always appreciate it as well. But now I'm pushing more for Anna, just, you know, because she's starting off the stream, not because she's my wife and she's a good gal, but she has a lot of good information to put out there in the world, and we need people like her to stream. And this whole thing of holding back on people that are streaming, sometimes it's all about, you know, how hard is it to just click that little button down there at the bottom that says retweet and favorite? Is it really hard? No, it's not. And just follow. She will definitely get back to all of you guys on Twitter, yes. And because I tell her to. Because it's important to get back and get that engagement with people that are following you. I truly and honestly believe in that.
I also read a lot about coffee, which I love.
So we might get into that as well. But yeah, guys, today's stream, both mine and hers, is just, this is Anna's stream, right? I'm streaming here on Creative 7, but I'm kind of interviewing my own wife. But I'm picking her brain because I know what she can provide and give you guys when it comes to information about books, about, she's a high school teacher. She's been a high school teacher for how long now?
15 years.
15 years. So, you know, she's got a little bit of knowledge in her, and pick her brains, guys. I'm seeing the stream very quiet. Ask questions. Don't think that your question is going to be...
that I haven't probably read.
Yeah, and suggest authors that you guys might like, books that you guys might have read that you liked. You know, I read completely different kind of books than she reads. My kind of reading is more into the business, social media kind of things, design. But that's okay too.
My master's in literature is an outstanding...
so I'm going to turn the camera to the person who counts tonight.
It's an outstanding account written in the 16th century called Les Voyages Aventureux de Jean Alphonse. So,
is it just me, or is it sexy when she says
1539?
She speaks the French.
I also have an accent.
I just find it sexy. I don't know.
So there you go. I'll read anything really. So I read
Zero
this
Grab
account.
is saying the books I read are people's tweets.
And that's okay. If that's what you like, that's okay. You know, you might find books on, you know, what people think of Twitter, or what people like to write on Twitter and things like that. Just never know. Read. That's the most important thing. And that's fine. You can, one day we can be having a conversation on the impact the writings in Twitter, you know, had on society, I guess.
Okay. On your stream, we have Germany, and she's saying, I would love to suggest The Wheel of Fortune by Suzanne Hawach.
The Wheel of Fortune? I haven't read that one, but I will. That will be my next one.
I completely butchered this author's name, but Germany,
I'll go by the title.
It's absolutely normal for me to butcher everyone's name. So
he's known for that.
Yeah, so...
okay, let me see. The Wheel of Fortune. That will be my next one.
Mama G is saying, I can't read. # squirrels. Squirrel. You know what, Mama G? You're reading the comments of a ton of people that go to your stream, that comment stuff on your stream. So if you're telling me you're not reading, you're lying.
You are reading. What is it that you like?
A lot of people can't really write that well, but you're reading and you're trying to decipher what they're reading.
Susan,
so that's a skill.
Susan Hawach.
How much?
Yeah, the Wheel of Fortune. I will. Thank you, Germany. Oh, and it's got 4.5 out of 5 stars in the Amazon, and in the Google
Okay.
Books, 5 out of 5. So it must rock. It really must. Oh, and Goodreads, 4.1.
Is it
Oh, by
new?
the way, you can find me on Goodreads as well as Iria_Anna. I have a lot of books there.
Yeah, my advice to you is always keep that same Twitter handle. And
So I'm
everything
on
you get into.
I'm on Goodreads. You can find me there. And I was part of a conference recently where I learned a great deal about books and the impact books have had on in society, and how how we sometimes perceive books and live by the books and all of that. So I'll talk about that conference on a different day, a different stream. But yeah.
So I have a comment on my stream that says, it's from @the_doofa, that's saying, are you under the influence of alcohol?
We wouldn't be.
Look into my eyes and tell me that these eyes might look like they have had a bit of alcohol, but this is like my second glass. And I'm just basically starting.
Any sane person needs to be.
This over here that you're seeing is not alcohol. It's working from 8 o'clock in the morning until about 7:30 today on a Saturday. It's called hustling. I own a business, and owning a business is no piece of pie. Is a very nice and difficult thing to do. So I hope that answers your question.
By the way, if you're into the business world, one book you have there that I actually enjoyed reading a lot is by the Canadian Robert, whatever.
And I haven't finished it yet.
Driven.
Driven.
What's his last name, Robert?
Can't remember.
Something.
You're asking me about a last name of someone?
He's in that famous show.
Dragons Den.
And what was the other one? He was in two.
Shark's Tank.
Both of them, yeah. So the book is called Driven. Robert, whatever his last name. I can't remember his last name.
Zero Grav is unbelievable. Every day I'm hustling. That's me,
so
my
there
friend.
You go. Any other? I'm gonna end soon because my little guy is needing me. But any other questions? I guess today was about Paulo Coelho after all.
Yeah, today was about. You know what? I'm gonna suggest, and guys, I'm gonna kind of turn this onto me because
shoot some names.
Yeah, I think that you know what? If you guys now follow Anna.
I will try to read. I'm reading the Game of Thrones, but in between I will try to read the Wheel of Fortune. Like I said, I just finished Prisoner of Tehran, and so this can be my in-between Game of Thrones book.
So if you guys follow her now on Instagram...
Are you okay?
I guess I have been drinking a lot. No, on Twitter and
on Instagram too. I actually post a lot of things on Instagram. I was kind of thinking
about that too.
And Pinterest. Sometimes I put stuff there.
So if you guys are following Anna, you know what? Suggest some stuff. I think we're gonna make this like a Friday night exclusive for
even
books.
though today's Saturday.
That's what happens when you hustle every single day of the week.
But yeah, Friday sounds better to me. I
thought today was Friday. That's how my head is. Man, it was crazy today at work, and tomorrow I'm working again. I'm actually we started a new business, so there you go. You know, as if I didn't have enough to go on. But enough about me right now.
I will have soon the book. Someone suggested that the book Love of Meerkat. I will actually, because that's where my blog is going to. I'm actually, with my blog, trying to create a book club that might be virtual. And you know what? Why not do like a Google Hangout kind of thing on Meerkat? So I'll have more details.
I mean, I'm already doing the design hangout / Meerkat. Why
so if there's anyone interested in a Google Hangout for books, just send me a message or put it on Twitter, whatever's best for you.
Germany's saying on your stream that it's a little long, that book she just suggested.
That's okay.
It's over 1,000 pages.
That's fine.
And I'm just going to say for Anna, that's like breakfast.
I am reading Game of Thrones, so you're just throwing another humongous Bible at me. But it's fine. You know what? I will definitely look into it. As much as I love the feeling of books, I ran out of space in my house because we have a library. I ran out of space at my parents' house. That's the second library, so now I'm going to the iPad version.
Hey, I have someone from Ireland here.
Ireland?
So GPs, paramedics.
For me, Ireland, you know what it is, right? You too. No, I want to go to Ireland. Actually, it's a
We do
a
not
country
wanna
that intrigues
get
me.
into the U2 thing, because if you think she's freaky,
Read
when it
YouTube's
comes to
books and
books-
Bono and all of that.
if you think she's freaky when it comes to books, let's not get into YouTube, because then it's
Yeah,
It's-
that's me.
it's a different universe. It's not even a level. It's a different universe.
They are the reason why at the age of 9 I engaged and had an interest in learning English. So there you go. Because I wanted to understand what they were singing when I was 9.
Great job, Anna.
Thank you.
Germany's saying thank you for being here, especially
Thank you.
Germany. Thank you
Yes.
for all you guys, by the way,
Yes,
for all your
thank you.
support, all your
Thanks for the suggestion too.
all the likes and all the retweets. We really appreciate all this stuff that's going on here on Meerkat. You know what? Meerkat has become a little bit of part of our family. I've been streaming for about 2.5 months now, basically since the app has been out, and you know, it's kind of, some days it's when I stop to think about it, it's kind of overwhelming of how much Meerkat has actually changed my life in regards to business and our lives in regards to the life, right? That now my kid, whenever we say Meerkat, he goes, no.
Tiago, how's Meerkat?
No.
No, not at all.
Kids
Not
hate
at all.
Meerkat. So what's going to happen is that we're going to end one of the streams because Anna needs to.
I need to be a mother.
She needs to be a mother, and I need to be a father too. But actually, in this case, my son is requesting her to help him out into
A book. See,
The book.
he actually
So,
wants to
see?
do a book.
and in Portuguese. This is very cool. So he wants to learn some Portuguese as well. We've left. I mean, we try to speak to our kids in Portuguese. We were born in Canada, raised in Portugal, but we believe that knowing an extra language in life will always help you ultimately. So at the end
And
of the day,
they'll do the français as well.
you know, obviously having a French teacher, they're screwed. They're going to know 3 languages and most likely Spanish
Careful.
at the same time. So,
Like I said, thank you. So I need to end my stream if you can.
all right, say your goodbye
Okay,
and I'll
so
end your stream.
thank you for being here. Hope you enjoyed it. Please send me suggestions. Send me, you know, whatever book reviews, whatever you think is important. I will. Germany, thanks for the Wheel of Fortune. I will try to get my hands on it very soon. And if you are interested in doing a Google Hangout or whatever about books, let me know. I would love to. I would love to share ideas. And talk about, you know, I share the conferences I go to, the things I learn, whatever. But above all, I'm humble. Thank you, and catch you sometime soon.
All right. Bye-bye, guys, from Anna's stream.